How's it going, guys, and welcome to Out of Bounds. I'm your host, James Skrmetta. The best 30 minutes of sports talk you can possibly find in the whole world. The best sports talk that money cannot buy, because we do this for free. 3 ways that you can find me, besides looking in the daily jail log down in an undisclosed location in South Mississippi. You can find me on YouTube. Just search my name, James Skrmetta. You can find the video version of this very show that you are either listening to or watching. The simulcast, we call it, has my face, which, not to kill any spoilers here, but it is disappointing. Or you can find me on Audio Mac. Well, I guess there's 4 ways, actually. AudioMac.com has all of the episodes of the podcast. It's like SoundCloud, but free. You can find me on iTunes, search James Skrmetta, and you can download it to all of your non-Android devices. Or, my favorite way, you can go to the future of radio, the Stitcher app. You can download the Stitcher app, and it formulates a playlist strictly for you on your podcast preferences. And if you listen to me, then you may get updates of Bill Simmons' latest episodes or CBS Sports' radio's latest episodes. Or if you listen to Bill Simmons, they may send you my way. It's a beautiful circle of podcasts over there. I almost just broke my mic. Today we have a stacked show. Absolutely stacked. And that should be no surprise to anyone, as my producers here do a great job of filling out the show. Today we're going to talk some Cam Newton. We're going to talk kind of how it's been going for him leading up to the Super Bowl. And he said a very interesting quote that we will get to. And it kind of harps on something we talked about a few weeks ago. We will talk Lebron James and David Blatt. I promise you. Promise. That is the second segment. And if we have time, which I think we will today, we're going to talk a little bit about Todd Monken leaving the University of Southern Mississippi, and more specifically, the reaction and what it means to be a fan. So let's go ahead and start this thing. If you listen every week or every episode, because we do 2 a week, then you'll know that I've been a huge backer of Cam Newton this year, and I have been harping on the point that no one has seen Cam Newton. No one has seen a player like Cam Newton. Ever. And even in college, you've never seen someone like him. He did the unthinkable. He did things that no one thought he could do. Took Auburn to a national championship, undefeated, beat Alabama after a 24-point deficit, beat Oregon, won the Heisman. No one even knew who he was. Was at Florida, got kicked out, went to Blinn College, won a national championship there, went first overall. You know the story. And I made the point that for some reason, Cam Newton has this awful stigma of being being arrogant and having some trouble and having some problems attached to him and not being a leader and not being, and all these negative things he seems to have attached to him for some reason. And we talked on this show. I couldn't figure out why. I couldn't figure out why. It was Thanksgiving. The show after Thanksgiving is when I brought it up. Because I remember saying that I was in a room with a bunch of people and a bunch of, and the show is broadcast from South Mississippi. So it is a different atmosphere down here. I don't know if you're listening to the show, if you're local or if you're around the world or around the nation. I know we have listeners from all over the place. And your region may be totally different with the way that, with the culture and the way that stuff like that is. But in the South, in the Deep South, in the deepest part of the Deep South, things can be different and things can be very archaic and very different. And so it opened my eyes. And that's why I came to this microphone and we talked about it. And we kept talking about it because it kept being an issue with the dabbing, with the dancing, with the everything he did. Every week it was something else. And on this show, we talked about it. I remember a specific episode where we also talked about Odell Beckham, that the episode got very tense. It wasn't about sports, it was about society. And we said on this show a million times, we are not afraid to touch on touchy subjects, and we're not afraid to unveil what's really going on. We are not broadcast from we don't have an overseer, right? There's no one telling me what I can do, what I cannot say. So what we do is we speak the truth. And people in the comments have said, hey man, I appreciate this because this is real. This is the truth. And we're going to do the same thing here today again. Cam Newton said, and I'm quoting, "People don't like me because I'm incomparable." And he went on to say that pretty much the reason that people don't agree with him, the reason that people don't understand him, or the reason that people don't like him, is because he's one of a kind. He's never been seen before. He's a totally different being that people are not used to seeing. And his mere existence in the NFL, or in college football, or on your TV screen, his mere existence is enough to offset the watcher and to make the watcher disagree with what they're seeing. This is almost exactly what I said on those 2 episodes where we talked about race, we talked about Cam Newton, and we talked about being the face of a predominantly white position in a predominantly white supported league. And so Cam said that. And he said it in Super Bowl media week, right? It's not Super Bowl week, but it's leading up to the Super Bowl. Super Bowl week will be obviously next week, where Radio Row and all that stuff. But he said it in the most important time. He said it when he's done everything except one thing. And he came out there and said, "No one compares to me. No one is me. No one has ever done what I'm doing." And that could not be any more of a complete synonym for what we said. So I'm glad to see that Cam Newton is a listener. I appreciate that. Cam, if you're listening now, which I'm sure you are, since you're basically just taking what I say on the show, feel free. Don't even credit me. Just feel free to, take whatever you want. Just whenever you win, just come on the show and we'll talk about it. But this just drives home the point that it's true. It is true. And whether you want to agree with it or not, it's a real thing. Race is a real thing. Especially currently in the current fabric of the United States. And it's different when you apply it to sports. Especially to the king of all sports, the National Football League. And especially when you apply it to the holy day of the king of all sports, the Super Bowl of the National Football League. The Super Bowl is the most glorified non-holiday of all time. All time. Cities literally shut down. Cities that don't even have sports teams. My city will basically shut down on Sunday. Super Bowl Sunday. Every household will have the game on. Every house will have parties. Every beer will be drank. That next Monday will not be a productive day at the office. I can guarantee you that. Most people will not be at the office. And a lot of people watching, this may not be a surprise, have been watching football for their entire life. The entire existence, every single Sunday of football season, they're watching. I'm one included. I obviously don't have a record, but I would guess there has not been a single Sunday since I've been, a cognitive human that can do things on his own and understand things and whatever, during the football season where I have not watched the games. And that's pretty unbelievable. Just that people can like a game that much. And I'm sure people in England feel the same way about their football. But Cam Newton comes at you so fast and so aggressively that I think people immediately dislike change. I know that for a fact. That's not even, I don't think that. I know that for a fact. People inherently do not like change. Because outward change means that there has to be some kind of inward change. There has to be some kind of reaction, right? And people don't like to be told what to do. People don't like to be told how to react. And a lot of times change can force that, right? If something's changing, so I have to do something. Maybe I don't want to do something. Maybe I'm comfortable, and now I'm out of my comfort zone. What do? A lot of times people immediately dislike that. Especially whenever you take college ties and professional ties and regions and, he played for Auburn and I like Alabama, so I hate him, or I like Oregon and he beat me in the national championship, or I like the Falcons, or I like the Saints, or I like the Broncos, or I like the Patriots, or I like Russell Wilson. There's a lot that goes on whenever you bring sports into the whole equation, and especially Cam, because since he is incomparable and he is a totally different being, then he's going to drive a complete parallel, or not a parallel, he's going to drive a complete opposite emotion of just about anyone else in the league. For example, what I'm saying is, let's say you like Tom Brady. Well, it wouldn't be impossible for you to also enjoy a quarterback who plays like Tom Brady, because you're comfortable with that person. You're comfortable with pocket passer, white. You're comfortable with those things. So it wouldn't be crazy for you to like Peyton Manning, or someone like that or maybe Matt Ryan. Not in the same league, doesn't really ever play you, has nothing to do with the two. They're similar in their play style. You can kind of generally enjoy the other person. Cam is the complete opposite of everyone. His closest compadre is probably Russell Wilson, because they're mobile, they're young, they're not white, they're in the same conference, they play each other, they're the leaders of the team, they're the faces of the team, they're the same type of build, but they're not the same type of anything. Russell is more of a thinker. He's more of a undersized, shouldn't be doing what he's doing, needs some help, isn't in your face, isn't cocky, isn't arrogant. He's more of a Tim Tebow personality. Cam is physically dominant. Physically, the last thing he is undersized. He's LeBron James in cleats, and he is not like Russell. He's not like Tim Tebow. He's not afraid to dance. He's not afraid to wear outrageous clothing. He's not afraid to crank up the swag. He's not afraid to do those things. So it's impossible to already have a comfortable feeling with Cam. And if I had to guess, the demographic that likes Cam is under 35. We're talking 18 to 30. It's probably Cam's wheelhouse. And people that hate Cam, if I had to guess, are the older generation. The generation that's comfortable with Troy Aikman, comfortable with Jim Kelly, comfortable with Joe Montana, comfortable with all those players. Dan Marino, Terry Bradshaw. I bet those are the people who mostly dislike Cam Newton. And especially the quarterback position. The quarterback position is the most important position in sports, without a doubt. 100%, no doubt. Not an argument, not an opinion, it's a fact. It's more important than a point guard, it's more important than a starting pitcher, it's more important than a third baseman, it's more important than anything. Doesn't matter. There's nothing that you can say that's comparable to the NFL quarterback. The face of the quarterback, the face of the team, the face of the team in the most important league, and it's Cam Newton. And is society ready for that? That is the question, and that is what we are seeing. That's what we are being hit with. Everything that's part of Cam Newton's culture has been questioned. The towel over the head, the dancing, the dabbing, the smile, everything. Every single aspect of his culture is put into question. And it's unbelievable, because a lot of it has been done forever. It's just different. Like Ray Lewis's crazy dance he did before games. That's really no different than the dab or anything. It kind of was its own little being where people mimicked it, or people tried to do it, or it was part of highlight reels, or it was part of T-shirts, or it was part of this. Fans did it. But he wasn't the quarterback. He wasn't the face of the franchise. He wasn't how a quarterback is. A quarterback is different. Ray Lewis is allowed to act like that because he's a linebacker. He's a big, masculine gladiator linebacker. They're supposed to have a personality. They're supposed to do this. In that sense, people were conditioned to, Bill Romanowski's and Ronnie Lott's and these big people, or even, any defensive player who had a personality. Brian Bosworth, for God's sakes. And so people were conditioned to that. They were okay with that. They understood that to play that position, you have to be a different way. But he's not the quarterback. Right? So when Cam does it, it takes it all into a different stratosphere. It's a totally different ballgame. And the reason I bring this up is because it is a true news story. It's a true story of how Cam Newton is now in the public eye, even more than he won the Heisman. It's not like he's been off somewhere not doing anything. But we're now going to have to really see how the NFL faces this change. Let's say Cam Newton beats Peyton Manning in the Super Bowl. And it's possible. They're 6-point favorites. That could not be any more of the, and it's probably Peyton Manning's last game. That could not be any more of the proverbial changing of the guard than what it is, because that's exactly what it is. And people on the grandest stage of them all, with millions and millions and millions of eyes on them, if Cam Newton beats Peyton Manning, it is going to be a seismic shift in how NFL fans feel. Just how they, just everything they knew about the position, everything that they believed about the quarterback position, everything they believed about the NFL is going to be shattered. Shattered. And it's not to say that, all of a sudden you have to have a Cam Newton at quarterback or it's not going to happen. But now the idea of, well, that style quarterback is not going to work. Or we need this from college. We need a 3-4 year starter. We need a guy who can run a pro style offense. We need this. All that's out the window. It's just gone. Like that. It really should already be gone. I mean, he's in the Super Bowl. He's the best player in the league. He's the MVP. But, because we saw a flash of this with Michael Vick, where Michael Vick arguably was the most dangerous player in the league. He got to the NFC Championship game. We saw some things like this, but not like Cam. Cam is something else. He's something different. He's more dominant. He's more out there. He's more of a personality. His team's better. He could win the Super Bowl. He almost went undefeated. And like I've said 100 times, this team was projected to not do anything at all. And they did this. So I think it's really interesting to hear Cam speak these things and to say these things, and for the media to say these things, and for the media to respond to these things, because it's a real question. And it really does bring into a lot of societal subjects into what is going on with Cam Newton and what is going on with that position. And it's really interesting to see it play out at the grandest stage of them all, at the Super Bowl. And when you're watching it, we'll obviously talk about this more. We have a few more shows until the Super Bowl. So we'll talk about this more and more in depth for sure. But whenever you're watching the Super Bowl, do yourself, or even leading up to the Super Bowl, ask people around you what they think about Cam Newton, especially people of the older generation, people of about 40 on. Ask them what they think about Cam Newton, and I guarantee you, depending on where you live, depending on how progressive your area is, I guarantee you that more than likely people would just immediately be hesitant to side with him and to believe in him or to like him. I guarantee it. Okay? Especially if you're in the South, especially if you're where I am. People are very hesitant to embrace change. That's why you still hear a lot of anti-soccer, a lot of anti-World Cup. You hear it and you're almost like, hey man, it's almost like one of those things where you hear a joke that's super outdated or a term. Like remember whenever about 10 years ago everything was like, oh man, that's so gay, stuff like that. Like, that was the term. And now it's so dated. Like if you heard that now, it's almost like, good God, man, like get with the times. If I heard someone tell me something like, oh man, that's just so gay, I'd be like, my man, like think of a new word. It's not 2003 anymore. It's not how the world is. It's different. And that's how it feels with the Cam Newton thing. It feels like one of those shifts, where it's just a change. It's really interesting. I think so. So go ahead, do a little experiment. Go ahead and talk to an older generation, to an older person, and say, what do you think about Cam Newton? Are you rooting for him or Peyton? And I guarantee you their response is going to be deeply rooted in something different than football. But I could talk about this subject for hours. I could bring on guests. I could bring on whoever, and we could really, really dive deep into this, because I think it really is a deep Chicago deep dish pizza level subject. It's not just he has darker skin, so he is not liked. It's not simply race. It's a lot. It's change and just everything. So, but unfortunately, all we have is 30 minutes. I've already went on too long of a rant for our first segment. But so we'll move on to our next subject, and we'll move on to LeBron James. David Blatt got fired. This is what I think about the NBA. The NBA is the head coach of the NBA teams, for the most part, is more of a manager an ego manager than they are a coach. Like Eric Spoelstra in Miami. He did not have to coach that team to the championship. He didn't have to. But he had to manage the egos. He had to manage LeBron James. He had to handle Chris Bosh. He had to handle Dwayne Wade kind of having to take a back seat. He had to handle those egos and let the players do what they do. Because once they're on the floor, it's only 5 people. And once the ball's in their hand, they can do whatever they want. There's no plays. There's no how football, you can run a play, then stop, call another play, then stop. Basketball, you can go stretches where the coach really is handcuffed. It's just like baseball. Like baseball, you can call as much as you want. You can do as much as you want, but once the ball's in play, the ball's in play. Same with basketball. If Dwayne Wade wants to limit the shots of LeBron James, he easily can. If LeBron James wants to take over a game and put the team on his back and go to the rim or shoot the ball, he can. We've seen it from players. We've seen it from Kobe Bryant, where he's taking shots he should not take. But that's basketball. So I think the coach's job is very important to manage egos. And I thought David Blatt, when they first hired him, I thought the only problem he's going to have is shifting from not being in America and not understanding the roles of those, how important the ego is. And that he's going to come in and try and do too much coaching, which is crazy to think that a coach can do too much coaching, right? I know. But that's exactly what happened. David Blatt did not get fired for coaching. David Blatt got fired for not handling the egos of the players that he was given. That's a fact. No one out there is saying that David Blatt's a bad coach. Even the Cavaliers aren't saying that. He just isn't the right fit because they need a guy who's just going to basically appease LeBron, handle the minutes, handle the egos, and try and guide LeBron to a championship. When you have a player that's that dynamic and a player that's good, that's what can happen. And if you don't have a guy who can control that, then he's going to eat the team alive from the inside out. Stars that burn that bright have a tendency to explode. You have to have someone that can wrangle in that power, wrangle in the demand of that player, and control him. If you can't control him, he will eat himself from the inside out. And that's what LeBron James seemingly is doing to the Cleveland Cavaliers. And LeBron is at a crazy time in his career because he's got the best player in the game playing for the Golden State Warriors in Steph Curry, who is eclipsing LeBron in every form and fashion. Basically, is making LeBron relegated to second, third best in the league, depending on how you look at it. There is no conversation of, is LeBron James the best player in the NBA? That is not a question. I don't think there's anybody who can be like, yeah, I think LeBron James is better right now than Steph Curry. I don't know that the only person that can say that is someone who has either not watched any basketball in the past 2 years or is blind. And that's almost an insult to blind people. So LeBron's not only fading as far as his talent, as far as his physical, his body's fading on him, he's getting injured, he's getting tired. Not only is he fading in that, but he's also fading now in time of being the best, in time of being where he can do these things, where it's like, all right, I'm the best player in the league, I can do whatever I want. Fire this coach, sign this player, I'm going to Cleveland, I'm going to Miami, I'm doing whatever I want to do, I'm the best. At some point, the league's just going to be like, look, man, you're kind of phasing out. Steph Curry's the way to go. Klay Thompson's the way to go. Jimmy Butler's the way to go. Kawhi Leonard's the way to go. You know? And it's an interesting time because Cleveland used to be, do whatever you got to do, just get LeBron to the finals or get LeBron to the playoffs and he'll dominate his way through. Right now, the East, I don't know, can they get through Toronto? Can they get through these teams? I don't know. Before it was like, well, I'll just blow through this team, blow through this team, blow through this team, whatever, who cares? Now, I don't know. And with LeBron not being able to do as much as he used to do, it relies a lot more on his team. And the only person on his team that I would trust is Kyrie Irving. Kevin Love is this weird, super skinny, I don't even know, he's like a former, I don't know, he's nowhere near what he used to be. So you have Kyrie Irving, who's battled some injuries, wasn't there for the finals last year, and it's going to have to be on Kyrie Irving. he's going to have to do big things for them to win. Let's say you're the Clippers. This is kind of a crazy trade, but let's say you're the Clippers. And I offered you LeBron James for Chris Paul and Blake Griffin before Blake broke his hand or anything. Before, you'd think, well, if I have LeBron James, I'm immediately going to the finals. Who cares? But now it's almost like, well, do I want to do that? Because LeBron now needs some help. Now he needs a little bit of help. He's not just like LeBron James and Mo Williams can do it. He needs something else. He's not going to play that much. He's not going to play like he used to. And this hit LeBron James hard. And obviously I was not alive or I wasn't watching sports or anything during the Larry Bird, when Larry Bird was Larry Bird. But from what I'm gathering, this very similar thing happened to Larry Bird, where his backs kind of started to give him trouble, and he started to have to sit out a lot of games, and he started to have to take more care of himself. And once that happened, he just kind of withered, and he wasn't the same player. And that's what LeBron reminds me of, is that his body is betraying him, so it's forcing him to kind of. He's almost like a short burst guy, where in short burst, he's incredible. He's the best player ever. He's the LeBron James we remember. But he's not the guy who's going to score every point in the fourth quarter and every point in overtime to win you the game against Detroit. He's not that same player anymore. And to wheel this all the way around with Blatt is that LeBron has to start winning. I have been the biggest LeBron backer in history. All my friends know it, and I'm not a Cleveland Cavaliers fan at all. I'm not a Miami Heat fan at all. But when they lose, usually I hear chirping because of what I've put on LeBron James. I was the guy, I might have said it on this show, that said, this guy is almost already better than Jordan. He's already in the discussion of the best player of all time. He's already way past Kobe. I was that guy saying, I was with that. But time is running out, and he has a buzzsaw in the form of the Golden State Warriors that Michael and Kobe and these guys did not have. Michael didn't have to contend with, oh my God, I'm however many years into the league, over 10 years in the league, and I have maybe the best shooter to ever live. This guy, the Warriors are on pace to have the greatest regular season in NBA history. And Steph Curry doesn't play in fourth quarters. He's missed like 14 fourth quarters out of 40 games. No one else is even in their stratosphere. They beat the Spurs by 30. You're telling me there's a team right now who's going to beat them 4 out of 7 times? I don't think so. So, if Steph Curry goes back-to-back, wins 2 championships, and wins 2 MVPs, all of a sudden, we're sitting here going, LeBron who? So the whole LeBron situation, I think if you're LeBron, you have to maybe dial back a little bit of how you've been doing things, whereas you're kind of the coach / kind of the GM / kind of, if there was a time for LeBron to be in Miami, it'd be right now. He needs Chris Bosh, he needs Dwayne Wade, he needs Pat Riley. I don't want to say it now because it's kind of too early to tell, but this whole Cleveland thing might be a disaster. Getting rid of Andrew Wiggins might prove to be a disaster. The Wiggins for Love trade, because Love is, to me, nothing. And they need some other help. And I don't think that the Cavaliers are good enough of an organization to get LeBron James the help that he needs to win these last couple championships. And if he doesn't win, if we get to a point where he's missing conference championships, where the Cavaliers aren't even getting that far, then it's going to be ugly. If the East gets better, it is not going to be good for LeBron's legacy. Things have got to change fast. And I don't know if Tyronn Lue is the guy, to be honest. They might need a Coach Cal. They might need somebody who LeBron trusts, who's also good enough of a coach to do these things. So, as much as there's a changing of the guard of the NFL, there could be a real changing of the guard if LeBron James, a once-in-a-generation, a once-in-a-lifetime talent, is being surpassed within 2 years. 2 years ago, no one was saying Steph Curry is better than LeBron James. Now, it's almost a 100% unanimous decision. You got to think, at one point, we were talking about Kevin Durant or LeBron James, and James Harden was being argued as 3. Anthony Davis was 3. Steph Curry wasn't even maybe in the top 5. Now, Steph Curry's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. LeBron James might be 2 just because it's LeBron James. But there's no one that touches Steph Curry. And that came at them fast. And the Warriors are no sign of slowing down. I mean, let's just say the Warriors 3-peat. All right, let's just be crazy. Let's say the Warriors 3-peat. Let's say Steph Curry gets 3 MVPs, and they're playing at the same rapid pace where they win 75 games 2 years in a row, and LeBron James is in Cleveland rolling through coaches like nobody else. All of a sudden, the table will turn, and it will go from being LeBron James, the greatest player to ever live, to LeBron James can't keep a coach, LeBron James is being a crybaby, LeBron James is all this other stuff. So right now is imperative for the Cleveland Cavaliers to make correct decisions, get people that can help, get a coach that can win, and LeBron James has to realize that the clock is ticking at a frenetic pace, almost rivaling the pace of the Golden State Warriors. So we went a little long today, guys. I'm not going to lie to anybody. We had a lot of topics. We did not get to the Todd Monken leaving USM Fanatics thing, but we will talk about that in an episode coming up. We are putting so much content into the show, and we're getting such deep discussions that the 30 minutes may not be enough, to be honest. And as we get bigger, the show will get bigger within itself. So I need you all can help, you all can do your part, you all can make this show whatever you want it to be by going to iTunes or Stitcher and rating and reviewing. We have a few reviews on iTunes right now, all 5-star. I do read the reviews. It helps to give me understand what y'all want. You know, some people are saying to change the name. The Out of Bounds moniker isn't needed. It's hard to find. Just use my name. And we could see a rebranding soon. It's not out of the question. So the more we get, the more listeners we get, the more time we can expand. We can get the show to an hour, maybe even a 3-hour show. You know, we can do things with the show. So we're not in any kind of time crunch. It's not like I have time in the studio. So let me know what you think, guys. Thank you for sticking around. If you did, we probably went about 5-6 minutes over. So hopefully you stuck around, guys. If you did, I really do appreciate it. I do the show for y'all. And I hope you'll have a very good weekend. I will see y'all back here on Monday. We'll pick up on some discussions and we'll talk about whatever happens. Have a good weekend, guys, and don't do anything I wouldn't do.